that's the most important thing that that I gotta say. Like, maybe not. I got a lot to say right now, but all in all, the cigar community is dope. It really is. Uh, it's kind of hard to do this one right here, man. It's kind of hard to really take the time to express the things that I want to express. This is not gonna be an easy live, and I don't want it to be like all negative. I don't want it to be all down and dire and things like that, because there's some silver linings here. There's some things that are worth talking about. Uh, I just finished watching JB on Instagram, and I honestly, it's probably one of the most heartfelt and passionate things that I've seen on the internet in a long time. I felt that brother's pain. I felt his relief. I felt his sadness, and I had tears in my eyes just watching it. You know, and it was hard for me to send a comment to him and respond. Kendall, what's up, man? Um, I got some things that I want to talk about with y'all, and most importantly, is going to be about Bradley and with Zeal Cigars. Most of you guys, if you're logging on right now, most of the guys, if you're on the internet, you were within this cigar community, you kind of know the horrible news that we just got as a community. I can only imagine everything that his family, that his friends, and everybody is going through, and everything that they're experiencing right now. It's a lot. So I want to preface this by saying that I didn't know Bradley personally. I never got a chance to actually have a conversation with him. We probably couldn't be more polar opposites as far as people, but he is a very important part of the cigar community. And he was a man, a father, a son, a friend. And I'm gonna get into my thoughts about that. And it's painful that this man is no longer here. But I want to talk to you about some things before I get deeper into that, because I don't want to eulogize him. I don't want that to be about. I don't want this to be about that. I want this to be smoke your best cigars. I want this to be a community moment, and and I'm happy to see everybody collectively coming together on a positive note and not anything negative. That's the main thing here. But I kind of want to start by talking about something that I experienced last night. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna smoke my best cigars. I want you guys to smoke your best cigars. And one time, put one in the air, whatever your best may be at the moment, for Bradley. And just nothing but shots out to Bradley. Before I go into my story, like talking about this is personal to his family, it's personal to his friends, and I don't want it to be anything that's taken away from family that's in grief, that is in mourning, and to make this seems like it's anything like I'm trying to sensationalize his passing away. But I got to be honest with you, this hit me and it hurt, and I felt something from it. And I want to talk about all these things that I want to talk about with nothing but all due respect and all due compassion for his family and for his friends and for the life that Bradley lives himself. Right? Before we get into that, so last night I went out to dinner with my wife and her former boss, who is now her contemporary. And she flew in from another city to spend some time with my wife and the family. And we went out to eat. And on the way home, the kids were riding back with me. My wife was spending time with her colleague at this time. And my daughter and I were just in the car listening to Bob Marley. And my daughter's 8 years old, and she's just getting to the point where she's starting to understand life and death, and like how life and death actually works, and how it affects people. Um, you know, when you're 8 years old, you understand that when you die, that you don't come back. You know that much, but she doesn't really understand legacy yet. She doesn't really understand time and space. She doesn't really understand like how that affects people on a whole. Hey, if you know, you know. Life's your best, man. Rest in peace, indeed, Hugo. So, like, my daughter, I'm trying to keep her in good spirits, and we're just, you know, trying to enjoy a moment riding home. So I put on Bob Marley, and I've been playing Bob Marley a lot lately. And while we're listening to Bob Marley, she was asking me like, out of nowhere, she was like, "How did Bob Marley die?" And in that time frame, I had to explain to her how cancer worked and how Bob was only 36 years old when he actually passed away. 36 is young. 50 is young. That's like my father was only 30 years old when he passed away. And that's going to matter in just a moment. But trying to thoughtfully and carefully explain life and death to an 8-year-old, and trying to explain like how cancer can affect someone's body, and do it in a way that it makes sense without sugarcoating it or trying to make it seem like this is, you know, just a Passover. I explained all the details about how Bob, you know, started with cancer in his toe, and how the doctor, you know, wanted to amputate his toe, and he wouldn't allow that to happen because he was Rastafarian, and because of his faith, he didn't want it to let go of a part of his body, and his faith is what pushed him and motivated him forward. I have to say, I'm not a man of faith. I'm not a religious person. But I understand faith from studying religions and studying how that works, and, you know, studying what it means to people. And I wanted to explain that to my daughter. What's up, trucker? I wanted to explain that to my daughter, and I wanted to explain that to her, the gravitas of living your life. So I told her the story about Bob Marley, and I told her that the last thing that Bob Marley, his last words and the last thing that he said to his son was, "Money can't buy life." And I turned to my daughter and I asked her, I was like, "Do you know what that means? Do you understand what that means, that money can't buy life?" And this 8-year-old girl paused, and she looked at me and she was like, "Meaning money can't buy you happiness?" And she said it can buy you things, but it can't buy you happiness. And I was like, that's really close. That's really close. That is actually one of the things that this has to do with. But I was like, the other part to this story is that money can't save your life either. You can have all the money in the world. You could be a millionaire. You could be a billionaire. You could be a trillionaire. But if it's your time to go, then it's your time to go. And I said, I want to take these two things that we were talking about and actually put that in perspective. I want you to understand that while you're living in this world, little girl, understand that the time that you get to spend with your dad, the time that you get to spend with your mother and your sister and your brother and your cousins and your friends, you can't put monetary value on those moments. The time that you're spending in school, that you're at the playground, that you're playing video games, where you get to eat dinner with your family, where you get to eat dinner with your friends, you can't put a monetary value on that. And no matter what happens with all the things that you do when you grow up, if you become an artist, if you become a singer, if you become a dancer, if you become a doctor, if you become a lawyer, whatever you decide to do in this world, you have that capability. You have that ability to be whatever you want to be. But no amount of money is ever going to stop the inevitable. So while you're here, while you have these moments, while you're spending time when we're driving home right now, cherish every moment. And it's a lot to ask of an 8-year-old girl, but understand that you get one of these. You get one life. You get one chance to really appreciate it, and you get one chance to really value everything that's going on. So every time you read a book, every time you watch a movie, every time that you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed, you take a shower, brush your teeth, every little single thing matters. And I said the relationships that you create with other people and the bonds that you create with other people, that is what is going to be legacy. That is what is going to be a part of your story that nobody can take away, that you can't undo, and you can't unwrite that part of your story. So I say, when you make friends, treat them the way you want to be treated. Treat them with everything, bit of love that you want to get back. If you can give to other people, give to other people. If you can share with other people, share with other people. If it's a moment in time, if it's a story, if it's a laugh, if it's something personal, share this with other people, because that is going to be your legacy. That is going to be the thing that lives behind when your body doesn't live anymore. And I looked at her, I was like, do you understand what your dad is saying to you right now? And she was like, yeah, I understand. That's a difficult talk to have with an 8-year-old girl. It's a difficult talk to have with anybody. And I said, your dad is not going to be around forever. I just want you to know that in these moments, I'm here to support you. This is why I teach you to get dressed in the morning. This is why I teach you to tie your shoes. This is why I teach you and stay on you about you and your brother doing your chores and doing your work and taking care of your uncle and your mom and your aunties and all your family members, because one day I'm not going to be here, baby. And you never know. Tomorrow is not going to be promised to us. I said, I love you, and I cherish all of these moments that we have. And for the rest of the car ride, we sat quietly and we just listened to Bob Marley. And telling you guys this part of the story, it was no way in this world that I ever planned that I was going to wake up today and to learn that someone from our cigar community is no longer on this earth. That's not what I was thinking about. That's really not, but that conversation that I had with this 8-year-old girl last night was real, and it was foretelling. And I could be making this, and tomorrow I'm not going to be here to do or smoke your best cigars anymore. I'm not going to be here to do a live anymore. You just never know what this world will throw at you. You never know what will come of your next few minutes. So just a moment ago, I was having coffee with a friend. I was having tea, but I was having coffee with a friend, a new friend. And he said that, life is about seconds and inches. And in a split second or within a half an inch, you make the wrong step, your life could be over. It could be the end of the line. It may feel like a few seconds. It may feel like millions and billions of seconds. You never know. Somebody had a comment here. Let me see what Ego is saying. The earlier people are able to understand the value of every second of life and the vulnerability of it, the better. Good job, Dad. And I appreciate those words, man. That honestly, that means a lot. Seriously. And I say that because my friend and I, when we were having a conversation today, we were going back and forth and trying to decide like what it's like to be a dad and to be a parent, and the juxtaposition of being a kid, and you know how you take a look at your parent and how you take a look at your dad. And like we're just kind of sharing stories about how we parent our kids. His son and my son are in the same class, and they're like a half a year apart, and they're best friends. Come from two completely different worlds, and these kids just love hanging around each other and being together. And I was asking them, I was like, yo, I wonder what they talk about when they're just together. If they're just talking about playing Zelda, or they're just talking about playing Roblox, or they're talking about what it's like and how they feel about their dad, and you know the moments they spend with their dad, because they get to share that. I never got to have that. And I had to learn the harsh reality of life and death. You know, I had to learn it real early because my pops passed away when I was just a baby. My brother was only 6 years old. And we had to grapple and understand the concept of loss from this is what I've always known. I've walked through my entire life with a hole. So I'm looking at people that are going through and mourning and grieving and bereaving and processing as adults right now. I can only imagine what Bradley's family is going through. Listening to JB talk about his friend, man, was just, it was powerful and it was gut wrenching and it was brutal, but it was beautiful at the same time because you could see how much he cared about his friend that's no longer going to be sitting in the chair that's next to him. And if, guys, if I get teary-eyed and if I get misty and if my voice cracks, just bear with me, man, because I want to process this, because this whole way that this happened is important to me, and as a man, he's important to me. And I want to stress that I never got to meet Bradley. I never got to talk to him. I don't even know if he knew the vintage cigar existed. That actually doesn't even matter, because with the way that I feel about this as a whole, it's really important that we all kind of take a lesson from Bradley's life. And we take a lesson from this experience. And when I got the message, you know, just having a conversation this morning with the New Wave cats, on the other end of the phone, I'm awestruck, and you know, I'm gobsmacked. They're like, I'm sitting back like, damn, that fucking hurt. That genuinely hurt. And I'm gonna expound on that. I'm gonna tell you why. So Quincy said, "What up, Big Key? What's up, fellow lovers of the leaf? Cut, light, smoke. Big Brad will be missed. He will indeed be missed, man. And that's genuine. And I say that genuinely, and I know you say that genuinely. Peter, what up? Rob said, I just saw a video Tim posted on his Facebook page. This is unbelievable. God bless us all. And as Tim said, take the time to make up with the friend while you have a chance. Rob, if that ain't the most powerful thing in the world right there, when I started early in, you know, with the vintage cigar, I was watching TNT, and that was Bradley and Tim together. And I would watch their shows just because I was trying to learn so much more about cigars at the time. And I was trying to learn about being a YouTuber at the time. Personality-wise, like I never felt like Bradley was a bad person. I just felt like we were on different ends of the spectrum, but I felt like it was something I could learn from him. And I think when he separated from Tim and he went to do Zeal Cigars and they did Cigars Daily and they went their separate ways, you don't know what happened personally between those dudes. I have no idea. I never dug deep enough, but I honestly can say that I've never really heard anybody say anything bad about Bradley. Genuinely. But I really try to take something from both of them as a source of knowledge. And when you think back, I knew that there was some kind of tension between them, but I don't know what it was. But those dudes spend a lot of time together. They spend a lot of time together as friends, as partners, probably as brothers in a way. So I can only imagine the weight that Tim has to carry if he was not able to reconcile with Bradley, man. And when you lose someone like that and you're not on the same page with them, that's a heavy cross to bear. That's a lot of baggage and a lot of luggage to carry, which it's so I hope honestly that Tim is doing okay. Earnestly, I can say like I haven't been the biggest fan of the show, but I got no malice towards him. And I would hope that he has, a way to reconcile, and I would hope that he would have some peace within himself to be able to deal with that, because that's a lot, man. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on anybody, man, because you can't turn back time. You can't turn back that moment to say, like, you can't wake a person up and say, I'm sorry. And you can't wake a person up and say, yeah, like, yo, that's petty. So Takufu says, rest in peace to Bradley. Never met the man, but the cigar world will not be the same without him. Will never be the same without him. And that's absolute facts. As someone who lives in the same state, I will always look for bikers. And Takufu, this is something I wanted to talk about. That was the next thing that I wanted to talk about. JB, no. This is Bradley from Bradley Reith from Zeal Team Cigars. Man, he used to be on TNT with Tim from Cigars Daily. He just recently passed away due to a motorcycle accident. And it was some consternation for me to actually talk about this, because you want, somebody's family to be able to have time to grieve and to get the news out there. But the cigar community right now is really talking, and they really have a lot to say about all of this. Now, on a personal level and on a personal note, when JB was talking about Bradley going out the way that he wanted to go out, that's a powerful moment. And it's tough to pass away from a motorcycle accident, but he said he went out with his hair on fire riding his motorcycle. Now, a lot of people that I know love motorcycles. They love the exhilaration and the zeal of riding a motorcycle. They love the thrill of it. They love, they have a passion for motorcycles. And I will never tell a man not to spend his money on a motorcycle, not to get on a motorcycle, and not to ride and to live life. Because the same way that I'd say you got to smoke your best cigars, because tomorrow's never promised, you also got to live your life the way that you want to live your life, with the passion that you want to live your life, and do the things that you love. I could never tell someone not to skydive, to zip line, to ride roller coasters, to whatever thing they do to thrill seek or to make them happy, to get their adrenaline pumping, whatever it may be. If it's smoking cigars, if it's drinking liquor, whatever, as human beings, we have the right to make that decision to do what is best for us. Right? You feel me? But I gotta say, it's like motorcycles are a tough place for me. They're a tough thing to me because I've lost some friends to motorcycles. when I was in high school, there was a cat named Mookie that I pretty much grew up with. He wasn't like a best of friends, but we shared a lot of laughs in class. We got a lot of mutual friends, and the dude loved motorcycles. And back home in North Carolina, he was riding on his motorcycle. He was going about 100 miles per hour, and his kickstand dropped, and he wiped out. And I don't want to get graphic on this channel, but it was a horrible motorcycle accident. Horrible motorcycle accident. It's about as bad as you can imagine that this motorcycle accident was. That's how bad it was for Mookie. And we were in our 20s. We were kids, man. And not long after that, I had a good friend named PJ. PJ was my first cousin and my best friend growing up. PJ was my cousin's best friend. And while PJ was in Atlanta, he was on a motorcycle when he got hit by a car. He died from internal bleeding. Again, we were in our 20s. Not long after that, from the same crew, another one of my cousins, close friends, a guy named Ken. When I was a little kid, we used to play basketball. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, man. We used to play basketball in the neighborhood. We used to run around. We used to do a lot of street stuff, man. And Ken was about my size, but the dude was in immaculate shape. He was an immaculate athlete. And he would look after me because I was just the baby cousin. You know, I was his friend's baby cousin. They would just let me hang around. And whenever stuff would kind of get raw on the streets, Ken was one of the guys that was there to look after me, man. He made sure I ate. He made sure I had something to drink. He would put his arm around me. Sorry, man, I'm getting misty just thinking about it. And when we were in our 30s, he was out. He was a part of a motorcycle club, man, and he had an accident on the back street. It was another brutal accident. He got hit too. What up, G? And he got hit and he didn't make it. When I was living in Virginia, I told you guys a long time ago that I used to work in kitchens. And I used to work 2 jobs. I used to work at a restaurant in Virginia Beach. And when I would leave that restaurant in Virginia Beach, I would go to my friend's restaurant and I would make deliveries and I would wash dishes and I would work for him, you know, to make extra money so I could, you know, stay within the kitchen, pay for my culinary school and all that kind of stuff. And it was a tiny little kitchen called a Tin Top. And my friend was the chef. Shout out to Rick. I know he's probably not watching this, but one of the guys that worked the counter was a guy named Chandler. And Chandler was just the coolest cat, man. He was the sweetest dude. And I lived only a few blocks away from this restaurant, right? And Chandler he was a college student. He was younger than me and Rick. He was a college student. He was just starting to live his life. And he had a motorcycle. And the dude loved to ride his motorcycle. So the story that I heard was that while he was in college, he had an argument with his girlfriend. And the street that I lived on, it was Hampton Boulevard, that was connected to Old Dominion University, the college that he went to. On one end of the street was Old Dominion, and on the far end was the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. I think that's the right tunnel. I think it was the Monitor. Is it the Monitor? Maybe, I think it's the Hampton Road Bridge Tunnel. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's one of the tunnels. And I could hear the traffic because my house was like right on the edge of the street. So one night in the middle of the night, I could hear a motorcycle rev up. And it was taking off down the street. And pow! I heard the sound. And I could see from my window, I could see later on, like I could see the red lights from the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. And I never went outside. I never went to see what was going on. The next day when I went to work, Chandler wasn't there. Come to find out, that car wreck that I heard from the motorcycle was Chandler. And he hit a tree probably a block away from my house because he was speeding and he was upset on a motorcycle. I could keep going with these stories. I can keep going and on because I've lost a lot of friends to these motorcycles, man. I don't know if you guys remember, before I moved here to Sasebo, I was telling you guys on the Smoke Your Best episode that I recorded about this kid named Miguel that used to come into the gym that I worked at when I lived in Yokosuka. And the sweetest kid, super down to earth, man. And he came and he spoke to everybody. And I was kind of weirded out because the kid was so nice to everybody. He was a little too nice. But he never harmed a soul, right? Long story short, man, he got hit by a car on his motorcycle. And if you guys can go back to hear the full story about that, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds because I'm just trying to make a point here. That the kid was only 21 years old, maybe 22. And he was struck by a car right outside of the military gates. It's heartbreaking. And I know these guys love those motorcycles and they love the thrill of it and they love the rush, but I'm saying this all to you guys that if you're going to ride motorcycles, if you're going to do something daring, take care of your life in the meantime. And be as cautious and as safe as you can. Wear your helmet, wear your pads, wear your leather jackets, whatever you got to do, man, because life ain't promised. And if you're going 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, 80 miles per hour, or if you're not paying attention to the car that's next to you, or the car is not paying attention to you, a lot of bad things can happen on motorcycles, man. So I'm never telling you guys not to spend your money on a motorcycle, not to ride your motorcycle, not to go out and live your life to the fullest. I'm just saying do it carefully. Because you never know what tomorrow may bring. You never know who's just on their phone in their car. You never know who's messing with the radio. You never know if your kickstand is going to drop. You never know if there's going to be sand and you're going to ducktail. You never know if you're going to be riding with anger. You never know if it's going to just start raining suddenly. You don't know what's going to happen. We can control what cigar we're going to smoke for that day. We can control what we're going to eat for breakfast. We can control how we're going to brush our teeth in the morning. You can choose your shoes. But you can't choose your time. You can't choose that second. You can't choose that inch. You can't choose that moment. So live your life to the fullest. And take care and cherish every moment that you have. Cherish every friendship. Reconcile with the friendships that are broken. Cherish your mother. Cherish your father. Cherish all of your family. Your cigar buddies. The people at the lounge. Because you never know, like that might be the last time you have a cigar with somebody that you care about. It's a tough thing, man. I did not want to eulogize Bradley, and I didn't want to make it to seem like we were the best of friends or if we were enemies or anything, because it's nothing like that. It's just the fact that losing somebody else to a motorcycle accident, losing someone from a community that's only connected by a few degrees of separation, losing someone that had a family, that had friends, that had people who cared about them, losing an inspiration on YouTube. It's hurtful and it's painful to lose somebody like that. And depending on how you look at it, whether the glass is half full or half empty, being 50 years old to say you've only lived a half a century. you can look at that to say that man lived a long and fulfilling life. He created a legacy. He built things. He has something that he has a lifetime of images and words and ideas and jokes and perspective that'll last forever on the internet. He has memories with family members and people that will last forever. But the body doesn't last forever, man. So we continue on for another second. We continue on for another inch. But we don't know how many more inches or how many more seconds that we got left. So everybody whatever you had to do today, whatever you had planned, whatever you had organized, whatever happened in the past, cherish that moment. If you don't call anybody, if you don't say anything to anybody today, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. But it's also not a bad thing to pick up the phone to call your homeboy and just ask him how he doing. It's not too much just to go to somebody and say, hey man, I love you. I'm just glad you're still here. I just want to let you know what I was thinking. When you put them to bed tonight, give them an extra special kiss and do the same thing tomorrow and do the same thing on the next day. Ain't nothing wrong with checking in with the homies, dude. That's facts. What's up, Space City? Quincy said, I travel 50 miles, 3 to 4 days a week to take my daughter to school, 3 miles down the road, then another 50 to 60 to work. There's nothing like that quality time. Take advantage of your time. Facts, brother. And you never know what's happening in those moments, man, when you're traveling that much. Kids are fascinated with the type of stuff that they could think of, man. Just like, I will forever remember that moment just riding down with my daughter, just talking about Bob Marley, man, telling her about her aunt that passed away from cancer, and just to kind of give that life lesson. And to see the thoughtfulness in her eyes when she's trying to absorb this heavy stuff that her dad is laying on her in that moment. But I don't think she'll ever forget that moment either. And even if she doesn't have an exact idea of what that moment was, she will remember the weight of that conversation and understand the how precious life is. So continue to have those moments, man. Continue to cherish those moments with the kid, man. That's everything. Max said time is precious, life is precious. Yes, indeed, bro. Tech said, live your life. Agree 100%. Cherish what you got. And there's nothing wrong with checking in with the homies. And I know I do this live in particular about smoking your best cigars. And I didn't come up with the idea. That's not anything. That's not something that I'm trying to trademark or anything like that. But I do talk about this in the sense that this is what this moment is all about. And this is why I talk about that, man. I hope that Bradley took the time to smoke all of his favorite cigars. I hope he got a chance to smoke with his favorite people. I know he did shows with other people in the community. I hope all of those people that had a chance to sit down and have a conversation and smoke a really good cigar with Bradley really got a chance to experience something that means something to him. I know we were trying to get him on the infamous Smoke Show just to have a chance to have a conversation with him. And I gotta say, I'm genuinely saddened that I would never get a chance to actually have a conversation with him to see what his personality was like for myself. Just because from watching him, dude had good energy, man. Dude had a really zestful way of looking at life. And I know his faith and his ministry meant a lot to him. So you got to think about, that's another side to this. This man was not just a cigar smoker. He was not just somebody's father. He was a pastor to people. He was someone who counseled people, who gave people life advice. So there's probably hundreds of people who are mourning this man and the way he lived his life. And tomorrow, no matter how strong his faith was, he knew that tomorrow wasn't promised. But he lived his life in a way that he was trying to give back to other people. I got nothing but 100% respect for that. I got nothing but respect for that. Pan said, hey, brother, what's up? Everything okay? Just saying hi off to work. Take care. Enjoy your smoke. And everyone, hit that like button. Cheers, man. The like button ain't for me today, man. That like button is for Bradley. But cheers, man. I appreciate you, Pan. Said, good thing it's not trademark. I'm going to start one call, smoke some okay cigars, and I didn't want to get sued because it's close. That's funny, bro. Hey, you got to be able to laugh in moments like this, man. That's funny. Yeah, so do your thing with that. I actually did smoke your worst cigars and smoke your okay cigars at one time too. But man, I do want to say that, like, I want to beat that drum. I want to. When I say smoke your best cigars, man, I want it to be a thing that that people genuinely live by on a day-to-day basis, because I try to. Even today, when I'm picking this cigar, when you're choosing a cigar that's gonna be in homage to someone that you didn't even know, but it's in homage to someone that I respected his life choices, and I respected the imprint that he had on his own company, on the YouTube space, on the cigar community. So I wanted to get something that I felt was gonna be worthy of someone that took that much time and care into being a brother of the leaf, right? And I decided that I was going to get this Casa Fuente, and I was going to get an eye of the shark to smoke in his honor. And when I was talking with the fellas, we were talking about, like, yo, what would we light up in honor of Bradley? Like, what was his favorite cigar? And honestly, I couldn't remember. But when I'm grabbing the cigar, there was a part of me was like, yo, do I want to smoke an eye of the shark right now? Do I want to smoke this Casa Fuente? And then I said, yeah, I'm going to smoke my best while I talk about these very heartfelt things, and we're speaking about life and death. And we're speaking about the way somebody lived his life to the fullest. So why wouldn't I smoke my best? Because what if I don't get this opportunity to say this, at another time? So while I'm talking about someone who really had a major influence on a lot of people in the cigar community, why wouldn't I honor him and honor that time, that second, that inch with one of the best cigars, right? And honestly, this is an outstanding cigar. This is one of the best Fuentes I've had in some time. So that's kind of apropos. So that last puff was for Bradley. But I kind of lost my train of thought because I kind of got lost in space for a second. There was something I really wanted to say in regards to that. But it kind of faded away because I was really just kind of taking a moment in that. So bear with me. I hope the thought comes back. Just mid as fuck cigars allowed. I'm just playing, not doing it. Hey, man. I know you're just making jokes, man, and we need some brevity and some levity in moments like that, man. So I got nothing against that. But you never know, man. You do your thing. It might be worthwhile. I know I would watch that. I would definitely laugh at that. I got some mid cigars I can smoke in that moment for sure. Ah, man. Bao said it's great to honor someone, but you have to live like you deserve the best. You do, man. You do. But I think part of that, Bao, is like when you're honoring someone, there's a silver lining in that moment, and just taking that moment to really appreciate what someone did and appreciate somebody's life and appreciate that time that you're taking for yourself. Self self reflection is not a selfish thing at all. It's not a selfish thing at all. And one thing about the cycle of life, in order for something to be taken away, something has to be given, and vice versa. It's an impossibility. If I want to share my favorite cigar with you, I have to give that away to you in order for you to be able to cherish it and to take that moment. I can never smoke that cigar again because I've given it to you, right? And in that time, like, one thing that can be given back to me is getting that story of you appreciating a cigar and you appreciating that moment and me sharing something that I cherish with you. So in essence, that's kind of what Bradley did, with taking the time to make all these videos, hundreds and hundreds of videos, and sharing his knowledge and sharing his time and sharing his seat with somebody else and giving other people jobs and giving other people work. He's giving his time and his inches and his space in order to do that, to give back to other people. That's really how you got to look at life, man. Peter said, I had a Ferio Tego Suma tonight. Definitely did not fall into the smoke your best category. I got a whole lot to say about that, Peter. And in earnest, I would kind of, because I don't want this to be a eulogy. So I'm going to talk, the same way I normally do on a live. I'm not really going to change what I would normally do. But I'm also not going to harp on somebody else. But I was sitting back and I was watching one of Michael's videos recently. I don't know if it was this morning or last night. And I'm really not a fan of the guy Cigars. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to wake up to hear news about something happening to that cat either. The chances of me actually smoking one of those cigars in homage for him or somebody else would be slim to none. But I would smoke whatever my best is in that moment if that was the case. But if he smoked a cigar in honor of Bradley, or if he did it for somebody else, I couldn't knock him either, because that is his best. That's going to be a cigar that he wants to sit back and enjoy. You feel me? I'm sorry you had to smoke that cigar, though. Yes, we revere our brothers and sharing the best in their honor. Sal said, you were providing meaningful, interesting, and genuine content. Thank you for being real and for bringing depth to the cigar conversation. In my opinion, you were providing unique content for us. And I got to say, Sal, thank you, first of all, for those kind words, man. That means a lot to me. Words like that, I really take to heart. And for you to take the time to type that out. And part of the reason why I did the show was because I want to be able to kick back and just talk about things other than just what a cigar tastes like, what a wrapper leaf is, what a binder is, how to cut your cigar, how to light your cigar, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I was sitting back and thinking the other night, man, because someone actually contributed to my Patreon, and they took the time to do that. And I hadn't put the focus into Patreon and the money side and all this kind of thing. And all of that mattered because I wasn't doing reviews, partially because it wasn't really financially necessary for me to do. And I was thinking, like, do I want to go back and put reviews in for the people who are contributing to Patreon and to only do reviews that way, right? But I was also thinking about how much I love doing these lives and being able to sit back and talk to you guys and be personal and really be brothers of the leaf, especially in moments like this. When I started doing this, it's because my brother's best friend passed away from COVID. And then I told a story about my homie Money, who passed away, and he was dealing with his mental health issues. And I talked about Miguel passing away. And now I'm here talking about Bradley. And I'm telling these stories about my my wife, and I tell these stories about my kids, and I tell these stories about my friends and about my personal life, about all these struggles and all the stuff that we go through on a day-to-day basis. And I tell funny stories, and I talk about the cigars that I don't like and the cigars that I love, because this is what we would do if we were sitting around at a hearth, or if we were sitting around at a campfire. And this is what makes these cigars worth it. When you're smoking your best cigars, having these and sharing these moments, this is what makes it all worthwhile. To be able to kind of pour out these feelings that I had about Bradley and about his death. If it wasn't for this, I would just be sitting up here by myself smoking a cigar, just trying to like ruminate about my own life and about my own moments. And you see or know, this is Bradley from Zeal Cigars. That he just recently passed away in a motorcycle accident. That's who I'm talking about at the moment. Space said, we've seen your IG, can't lie, but you did post 1FS, so you're not totally joking. 1FS. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, man, if I'm just not processing, so clarify that one for me, Mike. Max said, I just recently saw a video from Pick Jimmy where he received some cigars from Zeal Cigars. Couldn't have been more than a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's part of what I wanted to talk about, Max, because I'm not going to go into DJ's story because I know DJ has a lot that he has to say about that, and he has his own feelings. And that's a man that I genuinely respect his perspective and point of view on life. So it's not my place to tell the stuff that we were talking about. But that was the thing that was just like the kind of ships passing in the night thing. We were really trying to get Bradley onto the show. We were really trying to make it a thing. And honestly, that's a beautiful thing about Infamous and our channel and being friends, just coming together, sharing cigars and adding people onto the channel, you know, like Joe Knows, like Tim, Roger, Peter, to be a collective, so to speak, and to actually, you know, bridge gaps and to make friends, because it was interesting with DJ and Bradley, because they were having a back and forth about the cigar culture and about the industry, and they were actually forming, you know, a bond and actually making strides. And it would have been a beautiful thing to have that man on the show and to have his energy on our show, so we could all get together and talk and chill and just have those great things. Factory Smoke, okay. He said his age, Factory Smoke, he's always talking about. Oh, okay, yeah, I feel you. I see what you're saying now. He also smokes great cigars, a bunch of killer stuff on his IG, and Factory Smoke. And yeah, and that's the thing, man, to each their own. You know what I mean? So like whatever, you know, people love Ferio Tego, some people gonna love Factory Smokes, some people gonna have their love for Fuente and on down the line. But that's what kind of makes this community worthwhile, man. Let me see what Alejandro said here. He said the passing of Brad's been heavy on my mind, and I don't even know the guy. My condolences to Zeal and the surviving family. And bro, that's exactly how I feel right now, and that's exactly what I was trying to convey. And I genuinely was excited about having the dude on the show and being able to talk to him, right? There's been some talk about having some people on our bi-weekly show that, you know, we're going to be people that I don't genuinely get along with, and I don't share the same views and perspectives with. And I hope some of these, you know, options actually come to fruition, that we actually get them on the show and actually get a chance to talk. Bradley is one of those people that I don't agree with everything that he smokes. I don't agree with all the way that he does his show. I really didn't watch the show kind of years down the line. I stopped watching Zeal Cigars, but I've paid attention to him as a person. So I was genuinely excited about being able to pick his brain and just kind of get his perspectives. I don't know if he knew anything about the vintage cigar, but I was hoping that was going to be a moment that I could smoke a really good cigar with him to have a conversation. And that's part of what I wanted to bring up, the train of thought that I was forgetting. That is kind of like the best thing about these cigars, man. It's like being able to connect so many different people from so many different walks of life with so many different backstories, with family lives, different religions, different politics, different points of view. To be able to sit down and have a conversation and talk about all these different things, that's what makes this whole cigar leaf culture worthwhile. And honestly, it's the main reason why. Like I've been debating on, you guys know I was kind of having that existential crisis, and I wasn't sure if I was ever gonna smoke cigars again. I was really tempted to quit cigars. But I like this moment, being able to sit back and to appreciate a moment in time, to be able to appreciate life, and to be able to make these connections and have these friends. You know, without the cigar, I never would have been able to meet Peter or Felipe or Roger or Eric, Matt, DJ, Alejandro, Max, Rob. Like I can go down. Like think of about how many of these people, how many of you guys? There's 23 people in here right now, listening to me pontificate and muse about life and a cigar because of this. Because we share something in common. Because we have a common bond, other than the fact that we are human beings, flesh and blood. No matter what our religion, you too. No matter what our religion is, no matter what type of cigars, if we smoking premium, we smoking budget, no matter what our politics are, if we came from the hood, if we came from a wealthy background, it doesn't matter. We all get to share this experience about walking every day and living life. Uh, you see, it said, I know bikes are dangerous, but I got my bike license last year and can't help but going forward with bike life because fast cars and bikes have a draw to them and an undeniable, just like drugs, women, and alcohol, and just like cigars, and just like cigarettes, and you could go on and on and on, mushrooms and herb, and you can go on and on and on down the line. And I don't fault you for that, you see it. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that. Like, there's a motorcycle that I love. Those all black, low sitting fat boy Harley Davidsons. I think they're gorgeous. And I told my wife, I was like, I want one of these motorcycles. And she reared back and she was like, after all the stuff that has happened to your friends and all the things that you said about motorcycle, how would you ever want to get on a motorcycle? But there's still a part of me that wants to experience that. I probably wouldn't get a crotch rocket. I probably wouldn't speed down the road and dip in between cars and all that kind of stuff. And there's a part of me that has a fear that I probably could never start up a motorcycle and go. But I appreciate the motorcycles. I get why people love motorcycles. I get why people, spend the time to want to just feel the wind in their hair and to ride on an open road and smoke on a motor. I get it. So I would never tell another man not to live his life like that. I just say be careful. You dig me? So enjoy that bike, man. But don't be too proud to put on a helmet. Don't be too proud to get a motorcycle jacket. Don't get too proud to get the gloves because that road rash is crazy. And everybody I know has a story about something that's happened to somebody they know and care about on a motorcycle. Or somebody they didn't know. Matter of fact, a friend of mine, shouts out to Emily, she's a PA. And when she was working I think she still works there, but she was working for Centera in Norfolk for the hospital. And she was like, when the accident happened with my friend Chandler, she was telling me about all the different people that came into her ER department. And sometimes she would get some very graphic things. I don't want to say that on this live, but she would see some very graphic things in her hospital and in her ER from motorcycle accidents. She was like, I don't know how anybody can ever get on a motorcycle. She was like, there's no way that I can do it after all the things that I've seen. And I understand her, and I get her. But she was never judgmental about other people either. And regardless of whether you get on a motorcycle or if you get on an airplane, you ride a Shinkansen that's going 250 miles per hour. If you are in your car, or if you're just walking down the street, tomorrow is not promised either way. You know, do the odds go up or down depending on whether you're riding a motorcycle or not? Probably. But at the same time, man, I could, you know, walk into. I was just telling the story the other day. Yeah, YOLO, I feel you. I was just telling the story the other day that, you know, when I was in California, I had an asthma attack. I've never had asthma. In 40 plus years of living, I've never had asthma. But I'm sitting in the car by myself with nobody around and I couldn't breathe, man. And in that moment, having that asthma attack, I could have been going off of this planet. And in that moment, somebody could be making a YouTube live about EKB and whatever story or whatever perspective they have about me, they could be telling their story too. It could have happened just in that moment. Honestly, if my father-in-law didn't come out and if I didn't tell him the day before that I was having asthmatic issues and he was like, I have albuterol, he was like, I'll give it to you. And I was like, yo, I'm cool right now, Poppy, don't worry about it. And the next day he kept it on him. And he was the first person to come out while I was having that asthma attack. If he didn't give me that inhaler, I could have been gone, bro. Seconds and inches. That's the life we live. So who knows? I could go downstairs. I could have a cigar. I was supposed to be working out right now. I was supposed to be going to the gym. And I decided that I wanted to take some time to talk about Bradley before, it got too late for you guys. I just wanted to get my thoughts out, and I wanted to talk about these motorcycles, and I wanted to talk about life and the story that I had with my daughter. But I could have just decided to go to the gym, and I could have been in an accident, or I could have dropped the weight on me, or anything. And I never could have had a moment to just share how I felt about this guy. That's how precious this shit is, man. That's how, fleeting this whole thing is. Space City said, oh snap, I joined late, so it just together about Brother Bradley. I'm not really sure if I read that incorrectly or if it was a typo, but rest in peace. I just got back from Vegas on work, so I've been disconnected again. And I get it. And then, and it was kind of interesting because it was difficult for me to share this man's story because it's really about his family and his friends really telling it because I didn't know the man. But I can honestly say that this man didn't know me personally, but his death actually affected my day and it affected my life and it's affecting me. You know what I'm saying? It's affecting a lot of people in this community. It's affecting my friends and it's affecting you never know who or what you're touching just by living your life on a day-to-day basis. You never know what influence you could have by starting TNT Cigars. You never know what influence you could have by starting Zeal Cigars. You never know what influence you can have by starting the Vintage Cigar or Pick Jimmy or whatever. Arturo Fuente had an influence on me. I never met the man. I was just telling my friend today while we were sitting and having tea and coffee. The whole time I'm talking with him, I'm having this whole conversation about this could get rough. We'll see. So I was having this whole conversation about how I didn't have a father. And I was telling him about, how we raise our kids, and we were talking about raising our kids. And I told him in just a moment of vulnerability that to me, growing up, Bruce Lee was my dad. That's a vulnerable thing to say for a grown man. So that's kind of interesting, you know. But it really was like I never met Bruce Lee, but he had the most impactful influence on my life, as far as the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I train, the way I eat, all of that. A Chinese man from Hong Kong had the most prominent influence on a little black kid from North Carolina. And he died before I was even born. That's kind of crazy when you think. So you just never know who you're impacting, yo. Let's see. If you know, you know, said I'm too much of a daredevil to own a bike. I feel you on that. The day I learned how to ride, I went from a little dirt bike to a 900 Ninja. About a week later, I jumped on a Hayabusa. Am I saying that right? I'm in Japan. I should be able to say that right. And hit 200. I feel you. I had a similar instance. Like the part of the reason why I don't own a gun is because, you know, my cousin came to my house one day, the cousin I was talking about earlier, and he showed me a revolver. He had a blue steel revolver. I had no idea where the hell he got this from. We were teenagers. And he pulled it out from under the bed and he put that gun in my hand. And the power that I felt from that gun, I put it down and I swore to never touch a gun again. I've never touched a gun after that. Because it's a powerful thing to be able to control. You got to be able to control yourself. Who knows what would happen if I lived by the gun? I could be taken out by a bullet. I could take somebody else by a bullet. That thing could have changed my whole life. So facts. I feel you on that one, dude. Days like this exudes overwhelming feelings of life is beautiful. Each day is a blessing. All facts. And, you know, when I'm walking around today, I've been thinking about that same thing. So shouts out to you. Hey, man. Word up, dog. So EM said, let's talk politics. You're trying to get me in trouble. Let's see how this goes. He said, Biden or Trump, and why? Absolutely neither one of those motherfuckers. I cannot stand either one of them. I hate them both. I don't know them personally, but I hate them both. Trump is easy. Trump is easy because the only thing that Trump cares about is Trump and money. And his politics that he does on a political stand does not even matter to him because the only thing that he cares about is power. And the only thing he cares about is wealth. And to be able to have a track record with the law and the disrespect for women and the disrespect for people of color and the disrespect for just people in general, it's no way that I could ever have any respect for that man ever in life. So, and we already had whatever amount of time we had with him as president, it didn't go well. As a black man in America, there's no way that I could ever trust that man with my life, but I don't think presidents in general have that much power. The real power is within the Senate and within the judges, the Supreme Court. So president is only a figurehead anyway. When it comes to Biden, I don't think he's lucid. I don't think he's, for both of them, I think they are really too old to be president in the first place. But as far as the sanity and the way these guys treat women and the way they treat people and the laws that Biden had put in place against civil rights and against, you know, people who are poor and disenfranchised, I have no trust for him as a human being and as a politician. I'm really saddened being that I'm here in Japan, that I don't have anything to do. I'm happy that I don't have anything to do with American politics as of right now. But I don't feel safe with either one of these people winning the presidency. And it's a shame that we have a gang political system where we have red and blue, Bloods and Crips, Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals. I hate the whole mindset. I hate the whole structure of the system. I hate the way our politics in America works. I can't stand it. And regardless of how you feel about abortion, about religion, about guns, about race, about any of it, none of it matters because capitalism and the whole mighty dollar is really, and the lobbyists and all that kind of stuff really runs the government. So that's my take on politics. So take that however you want. The world is dependent on America. The world is not dependent on America. The world is depending on money. Israel is surviving because of America. Iran is surviving because of America. Russia is surviving because of America. China is surviving because of America. And America could not survive without any of those people greasing other people's pockets, from Saudi Arabia to, you know, just about all of the resources that are in Africa right now. Money makes all that go around. Because you can have somebody, Trump was for Russia, he was anti-Russia, he was for Russia. However they were going to line his pockets. Joe Biden, as far as with Israel, however Israel was going to line his pockets, that's who he was going to align with. They can let all of these people in Sudan, in Darfur, in Iran, in Palestine, all of these people can get blown off the face of the earth. Any place that you can, the Ukraine, we got millions of people dying from bombs and from crooked politics and famine and all of this kind of stuff, and nobody gives a fuck until it messes with their money. So I could give a damn about any of these politicians. Fuck them all. Yeah, the judicial system. Really, the Senate and that judicial system is really where it lies. I was just talking with my friend about all the stuff that I went through as a kid, being in the you know, being accosted by the police, being brutalized by the police, having guns drawn on me by the police. I got beat up for second-degree trespassing by the police. I went to jail. I didn't go to jail. I went to the police office, and I got community service because I got beat up by the police. They whooped my ass, and I was only 14 or 15 years old. And they got nothing because of the color of my skin, because of the amount of money that I had in my bank account. That judicial system didn't do shit for me, bro. They never even asked why I was there. When I got in front of that judge, he asked, how did I plead? I said, not guilty. He said, do you have a lawyer? I said, no, I do not. We're going to assign one to you. The lawyer came and stood beside me, and he said, guilty, you have to do 2 weeks of community service. That is my judgment. Good day. He never asked about the police. He never asked my side of the story. I never said a word to the lawyer that stood beside me. Fuck politics, bro. Fuck all that shit. Because no matter how much you vote, my vote didn't mean shit at that moment. Now, if I had enough money, and if I had somebody that you know had enough money to have my back, I probably could have got a fair trial, right? That's a whole nother can of worms, bro. What's wild is how many tradespeople like him, and even though he's well known for paying contractors among all of the other terrible trades. Who is that? Because that could be for either one of them. Is that for Biden or Trump? Carlito Fuente is coming to Dallas this month. Looking forward to meeting him. That would be dope, man. If you get to meet him, man, tell him what's up from the Vintage Cigar, man. Him, bro, to Tampa, and few most I told him to stop by Arturo Fuente and JC Newman when he's there. Arturo Fuente fam hangs in Tampa, cigar bars, and the regular. I think Arturo Fuente Senior or Junior has, what is it, Tampa Suites? Doesn't he run Tampa Suites down there? I think they got a spot down there. He said, I vote for Carlito. Word up. All of them dudes suck, man. Like I got no love for any of those people, man. Like, you can say I have my conservative points of view. You can say I have my liberal points of view. But I don't consider myself neither a liberal or conservative. I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican. I don't consider myself an independent at any of that shit. Any of that shit. Have I voted? Yes. Have I not voted? Yes. I can go both ways. I gotta relight this. My whole thing is, what can I do on a day-to-day basis as a human being? I want to take care of my front door. I want to make sure my kids are fed. I want to make sure that my wife is working, that I'm working, that I'm bringing in income. I want to make sure that there's food on my table. I want to make sure that my friends are safe. If anybody needs me, they can call me at any point in time. I'm going to be there. My friend the other day, I went to his house just to help him put together his weight set. My friend today, I went to sit and have coffee with him and to sit and talk to him. When they needed their kids to come to have a place to stay, they can come here. Yesterday, I went all the way out to another town called Hasami, and I taught Japanese middle school students how to speak English. That's how I do my part. Those are my politics. Whenever you guys want to have a conversation with me, if you need something, hit my DM. Contact me. If I can do something to help, if I can promote somebody else's show, go to somebody else's show, go click their like button, go support their merch, go out. That is my politics. That is the way I live my life. For any Japanese national, for any American national, for anybody from China, from Hong Kong, from the Ukraine, from Russia, don't matter. If you are a human being, if you are a living being on this planet, from a flower to a bug, I'm here to help you to live your life and do the best that I can. Those are my politics. I don't give a fuck about your judicial system. I don't give a fuck about your police. I don't give a damn about your money. I don't care about none of that shit, man. I hate all of it. I hate it. I'm here to support people. I'm here to support life. And when we talk about, Bradley losing his life, I don't know the man, but if I had a chance to shake his hand and have a cigar with him, that would be one of the best moments that I could have, because I would have loved just to spend time with the dude as a human being. I was about to go down a deep rabbit hole. I'm not going to do that. He said, I don't trust any man who doesn't smoke cigars. I feel you. The city I went to was Hasami. That's about 30 minutes away. Tampa Sweethearts is their place in Tampa. You're right. Okay, I did have that right. Thank you for correcting me on that. You see it. Max said Biden falls up the stairs and can't finish the sentence. Sad time for y'all Americans. Dude, to me, how is that even worse than, than what Trump was doing, man? And the dude could just, spit some of the most vile stuff. This is what I don't understand about America. America can have this whole concept of we need to fight against gang crime. We need to fight against people coming across the border. We need to stand up for the thin blue line, and we need to stand up for America and the stars and stripes. And then as soon as another person that has a different point of view than you becomes president, then you're saying, oh, we can never survive, in this world, and how are we going to survive? You had people literally storm the Capitol and smear shit on the walls. That's supposed to be a sacred place. And you got these same people walking around with American flags and Confederate flags and all of this kind of stuff and saying how much they're patriots. But in that moment, they were talking about hanging the vice president of the dude that you're supposed to be supporting. I'm terrified in general, whether it's Biden or Trump that's in office. None of these people make sense. I hate to hear liberal people saying, oh, I hate conservatives. And I hate conservative people saying, oh, I hate liberals just because of that title. And they never had a chance to sit down. And most of the time, your politics are probably not even that far apart. It's crazy to me, man. And it's one of those reasons why I'm so happy to be here in Japan, where I ain't got to deal with none of that bullshit. Facts. Am I proud to be an American? That's a really good question. And I tell people all the time, being raised as a black man in America, that's a very tough thing to say. Because the amount of racism and the amount of discrimination that I experienced growing up in the South in the 80s and the 90s, and what my mother had to go through Jim Crow, and what my grandparents had to go through in, post-slavery, and what my ancestors had to go through with slavery, that's a really tough thing. But I've never stepped foot in Africa. I speak English. I'm learning Japanese. I'm 100% American. The food that I grew up on was American. I grew up in North Carolina and Virginia the most of my life. So if someone asks me here, what is my nationality? Americagendes. I'm American. And as much as I hate about the country, there are things that I absolutely love about the country. There's some freedoms that we have in America and some things that we live by that you can't help but cherish, and you got to respect with the innovations and with the society and having the ability to own a home and to be able to speak your mind, that I could say whatever I feel about Biden or whatever I feel about Trump or whatever I feel about, you know, Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or whomever. I have the freedom to be able to speak my piece. But I've also been held at gunpoint just for walking across the street by police officers. I've been beat up by police officers. I've been judged for walking in the store and people following me around. I had friends that were telling me that I couldn't even swim in their pool because my skin was darker than theirs. I've seen some shit in 40 years, man. I went through a whole lot of shit. But I can't deny where I was born and raised, and I can't deny what my experience is. So that's a really good question, man. But that's just, it's tough. It's not easy to answer that in a simple way. If voting were made any different, they wouldn't let us do it. Mark Twain. That's a good quote. And it's kind of fascinating to see how much voting has evolved in that time frame from the moment that Mark Twain has said that, man. It's a complicated thing, man, and that's why I love, being able to do Smoke Your Best Cigars, to be able to talk about that kind of thing, man. I'm glad you guys are willing to open that up and have that discourse and that conversation with me here. I appreciate y'all. Scotty, what's up, family? Thanks for the magic toast, cuz. Anytime, family. I'm just glad I got to sit back and kick it with you, man, and spend some time with you and the fam, man, and smoke some good cigars, man. It's all love, fam. He said, W4 by Dead Prez explains perfectly how I feel about politics. Just the fact that you were able to bring up Dead Prez, man. If you guys ever want to go back and listen to an album, I think it's from either 99 or 2000. It's called Let's Get Free by Dead Prez. Go check out that album. If you want to talk about capitalism, socialism, voting, human rights, civil rights, and this is some brilliant hip hop. Go check that out. I'm glad you brought that up, Alejandro, man. Just the fact that you even know about Dead Prez just made my day. It is backwards, Golden. It's completely backwards. I agree with you. Quincy says, speaking of merch, when is the release date? I don't have the release date yet, man. I've been so busy this week. I told you guys I was working with those students in Japan, and I've been helping my wife out with a lot of things. So I haven't stopped, working on that. But I did want to, talk to the homies in the new wave about how to get that release. So that's coming soon. I promise you. And I don't promise anything. I promise you that merch is coming soon. I'm going to make it a part of the Patreon. And I'm going to put together some things. I just needed time to get in my office and to work on my own projects that I have going here. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to do it. Only vote that matters is the electoral college. The popular vote doesn't mean anything. Dude, we've seen so much to have to do with the electoral college and popular vote in these past, 3 or 4 elections? That is a mouthful that you just said right there. Facts. Let's see. Anything just to make people think they make difference is the reason why Hillary beat Trump with the popular vote but lost the election. That's a whole nother can of worms, man. That whole thing between Hillary and Biden, the whole thing about stealing the election with, not Biden, but Trump, the whole thing about stealing the election with Trump and Biden, it's been brutal, man. And our system is all jacked up, and money and power pushed all of those things and made all of that stuff. It's an ass backward system. The fact that we only have 2 parties is crazy to me. And the fact that we don't have term limits for these people that can be in our Senate for, however long, in our Congress is scary. It's absolutely terrifying. But we could also be North Korea. Damn, super late, barely saw this. Yo, what's up, everybody? What up, Roger? Yo, yo, yo. I love everybody showing love to everybody coming in. Peter is up in here. What up, Peter M? And I love the fact that you guys come in here, man. And you're willing to have a conversation with me about some of the tougher things, man. I was watching a video about a cult today. And because a cult is very personal to me, the way it affects my personal life. I have somebody that's very close to me, a lot of people close to me that are wrapped up within a cult. So I was watching this show about that particular cult, and the guy that was doing it, he's an ex-member of that cult, and he was just talking about how he was saying how people shy away from, the guns and politics and religion talk. Like, that's something that you never bring up with perfect strangers, right? But he was like, I don't really subscribe to that. I feel like we should be able to have a dialogue and to be able to have a conversation and to talk about these things that are difficult for us to express and are difficult for us to address as human beings. And the more I thought about what he was saying, I totally agree with him. You guys might have noticed that on my channel that I don't talk politics very often. I may bring up religion in a broad scope of things, but it's really a difficult thing. And I know with my viewership and the people who follow my channel, and I know I'm on polar opposites from a lot of the people who watch my channel. And I try not to push any of my viewers away, and I try not to disenfranchise anybody or make anybody feel like that, I don't want to hear their perspective, or because I have a different point of view and perspective that, I couldn't sit down and have a cigar with them. I really feel like we should be able to talk about everything, and we should be able to have discourse and conversations. We should be able to talk about guns. We should be able to talk about race. We should be able to talk about gender in society. And we should be able to talk about all of these different things without really being at odds and being in a place where there's going to cause consternation or divide between people. I may not be the most well-read person, but I do have a lot of perspective, and then I have a lot of opinions, and I have a lot of facts when it comes to our society and our world, and how I view politics, and how I view race, and how I view gender, and how I view human rights and women's rights, and all of those type of things. There's going to be someone in here that would call me a stone cold leftist. There's some truth to that. There's some people who would, say that I'm a firm conservative. There was a time where I would, listen to a lot of, what do they call libertarians? Where I would read a lot of libertarian books and libertarian, podcasts and things like that. And I'm all for freedom. But even within the libertarians, you have a separation between the conservative and then you have the liberal side. And I find that we pigeonhole ourselves as human beings by saying that we are specifically one thing or the other. Just being a black man in America, depending on the stance that I take, somebody could say that, I'm not black enough because maybe I listen to a lot of rock and roll. I listen to Pantera. I love Pantera. I listen to Radiohead. And growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was the weird hippie kid because I didn't just listen to hip hop. I love Public Enemy. I love Dead Prez. And my favorite people growing up was Malcolm X, Bruce Lee, and Muhammad Ali. But I would also listen to Krishnamurti. And I would also, follow a whole lot of different people from different walks of life. I've dated white girls. I've dated Latinas. I've dated black women. I've dated, and I went through everything because my mind was so open to other people's beliefs and their religions. And people try to pigeonhole me and put me in a box and try to tell me that I'm not street enough. I'm not hard enough. I'm not black enough. I'm not gangster enough. I went through all of that, bro. Rock and roll is black. You know, without Betty, without Chuck, without Little Richard, you can go down the line. It comes from rhythm and blues. We can get into that whole thing. I trust me, I understand that. But if you in the 80s, if you weren't rocking Adidas or Pumas, and or if you didn't have the right pair of Nikes, and you were on a skateboard, and if I'm with the kids, when I was with the skater kids and I'm rocking some Airwalks, and I can't skate to save my fucking life. I'm horrible at that. But when I was hanging around with my man Andy and his brother Luke, and I'm outside of the skate park and I'm smoking with them and they skating and I got a chain on and I got a pair of Jinko jeans on that day, everybody was like, yo, you a white boy. But then when I had on, my Momo jeans, or I had on my Pele Pele, and I had on, like some, Maurice Malone or whatever, and I had my fade and all that kind of stuff, then I was too street to, the white girl that I was kicking it with, her dad was saying I was an N-word, and he was taking her out of class because I was a danger. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's like everybody's going to try to push you in the blocks, but if you just keep your mind open, you can hang with any group, anybody that's out there. There were people calling me gay because I was a poet. Oh man, they ain't messing with, he faggot, this, and they called me everything under the book because I was a poet, and I listened to poetry, and I like R&B music, and I listen to Marvin Gaye, and I listen to jazz. Like, it's really a messed up thing, man. And I used to hang around with the goth kids. I used to listen to Marilyn Manson. And I was hanging around with the goth kids. There was not one group in my high school that I didn't kick it with, that I couldn't hang around with. And it didn't matter whether they were rich or poor. And that was the one thing about my legacy that I'm proud of, because everybody in that school knew that they couldn't tell me which neighborhood I could go in, because I hung with everybody. One of my closest friends at the time was my vice principal. He was an older white guy. Me and him, we would kick it, and we would talk about Siddhartha and philosophize about Buddha and Confucius. You couldn't tell me who I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to read and what I was supposed to listen to and who I could hang with. Because I would hang with the nerds, and I would talk to them about X-Men and about X Factor, and we would talk about Image Comics, and I would draw comic books, and then they would call me a nerd, and I was a goofball because I could do that. And then my other homies were basketball friends, and I could go talk with them about Michael Jordan, and we could talk about Penny Hardaway. And like, you couldn't tell me that I couldn't hang with the jocks. You couldn't tell me that I couldn't kick it with the girls. And I would hang with them, and I would talk to them about fashion, and I would talk to them about Aaliyah, and I would talk to them about Louis Vuitton and Louboutin. Like, you couldn't tell me. I love polo. I used to love to get dressed up. Like I love clothes. So what are you gonna call me gay because I appreciate fashion now too? I refuse to let anybody put me in a box and to tell me who I can't smoke cigars with, who I can't hang with. You can't tell me that I can't wear, certain clothes, or why am I hanging out in Japan and all this. You can't tell me how to live my freaking life, man. Because like Bruce Lee said, because under the heavens and under the moon, there's but one race. And it's but one type of people. Man, I've been through every type of persecution y'all could think of. I've been through it. because I was poor. And I lived on the wrong side of town, so everybody in my neighborhood used to steal from me because my mom did everything she could to make sure I had a Nintendo, that I had a TV in my room, that we had snacks in the cupboard. I never went on vacation, and I never left Virginia and North Carolina because my mom couldn't afford to do it. But she would make sure that I had fresh polos on, that I had a fresh pair of Jordans, and then when I went to school, I had books and pencils. So the cats from the east side and from Princeville would tell me that I was a rich kid. But I could never afford an LL Bean book bag. You know what I'm saying? I could never afford the boat shoes and all that kind of stuff. Like, my mom didn't have a fancy car. She drove a Honda. There were kids that would come to school driving BMWs. I could never afford any of that stuff. My first car was a 91 Ford Escort that I got in 1998. It's crazy, man. Ice-T is a poet too, no doubt. Straight up colors. That's and hardcore gangster. He said I was in junior high the first time I was hit with the "you act white," and I was also looked at funny because I wrote poetry. You know what I'm saying? And it be your own people that's doing this to you. It's a crazy thing, man. It's a crazy thing, and I literally, probably like you, like, what is wrong with being able to express yourself with words? Being able to pick up a book or being able to look at whatever is around you and to be able to express yourself. And the funniest thing is that all of these dudes that were saying that you act white or calling you gay or calling you soft for writing poetry, y'all don't know how many women I got because I was a poet. That's a whole nother story within itself. Partially the reason that I'm married to this day is because I'm a poet. And it's these knuckleheads, so like, because you out here on the block and you rolling up weed or you selling crack. I sold weed too. I did that. I sold weed on the block too. I did all of that, man. I did all of that. So you more gangster than me? It's crazy the way human beings, like my friend today said that he got the quote from, I think it was from Men in Black. You know, he said a person is not stupid, people are. And it's the group think. And it's the fact that we all try to form these cliques and form these groups and form these societies, whether you're going to be Republican or you're going to be Democrat, or whether you're going to be a Muslim, or whether you're going to be Jewish, or whether you, like, all of this stuff, we separate ourselves. Even if you just think about the Christian religion within itself, there isn't just one Christian. You got Jehovah's Witnesses, you got Baptists, you got Methodists, you got Lutheran. You can't even get all of that in one sect. You got Sunni Muslim. You got all of these different types. You got Orthodox. You got da-da-da-da-da. You got Hasidic Jew. You got Orthodox Jew. You can go down the line. Everybody got these sects that they can't even stay under one umbrella. And why are we separating ourselves like this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do you got to say whether you're Russian or Ukrainian, now you got to fight a war? Whether you're Israeli Jew or you're a Muslim from Palestine and you live on the same freaking planet and you blowing yourselves up based on where you live on a map. It's fucking nuts, man. These people are crazy. Except, yep, skater kids versus thugs, jocks versus preps, all of that. And I hung out with all of those cats, Alejandro. I hung out with everybody. When I played soccer, I was the only black kid on my soccer team. Their nickname for me was the Shadow. I don't know if that was respect or disrespect, but there was these two Mexican kids that played on our soccer team. My coach would never let them in the game. They barely spoke English. And all the white boys that was on my team used to, talk about how dirty they were and how smelly they were because they were Mexicans and they didn't want to pass them the ball. Those two Mexican kids, when I would sit back and talk to them in practice, they were the coolest cats in the world. Funny as hell. And were better soccer players than all those kids on that team. But they would never let them get the ball, and they would never let them get in the game. And one day, my oldest daughter, who's 24 now, about to be 24, she was going into the grocery. No, she was going into the laundromat, and she saw some Mexicans in the laundromat. And when she walked in, she had to be maybe 2 years old. And she said, "Ill Mexicans." Why? Because her mother's side of the family taught her to talk down on Mexican people and to treat them like they was the new N words that was in our small little town. And to see black people who have been through so much persecution, so much racial divide, especially in this small town where I've seen crosses get burned, where I've seen KKK spray painted, and all of this stuff that I've seen in my lifetime. To see black people treat another group of people that had a dark skin color the same way that they got treated pissed me off to no end. And to hear my daughter say something like that out of her 2-year-old mouth pissed me off to high heavens. And to this day, she can remember me chastising her about being disrespectful to another group of people. And to see her at 24 years old now, out of college, with all of her friends from so many diverse backgrounds, I know I did the right thing as a human being, as a father, to make sure that she would never speak ill of another group of people ever in life again. And she loves everybody. She's a wonderful person. I'd never expect to go on a diatribe like this, man. But, I'm glad you guys brought up some really powerful stuff like that so we could actually have this moment to really talk. And you can see, man, this stuff that bothers me, man. This stuff that I carry on my chest for a long time. Roger said, yeah, bro, people always want to label others, and it fucks them up when you divert from the normal stereotype. Just got to be happy doing whatever you like and doing whatever you love, and be happy being good to other people and allow them to do whatever they like and whatever they love. Even if that is to hop on a motorcycle and go out and ride 100 miles per hour today, you're a human being. I can't judge you for how you're going to live your life. Or if you go in the booth and you're going to vote for Donald Trump, or if you're going to vote for Biden, that is up to you. That's yours. Do I agree with it? I don't agree with either one of those, but that's your vote and your choice. I can't tell you whether your skin is dark, whether your skin is light, whether your skin is medium, whatever the case may be. Whether you're albino, whatever the case may be. I can't judge how you're supposed to do your thing and live your life. Intercourse said, I love how cigars bring people together. I know people of all stripes because of the love of cigars. And that's exactly what I was saying earlier, fam. That's why I still keep this channel going. That's why I have these conversations with y'all. That's why I try to smoke with y'all and kick back and to keep this channel going, because of the love that I have for everybody coming together and being able to have everybody from a different background. That means everything to me. That means the world to me, man. So I accidentally left my notebook in English class that evolved into getting girls numbers of selling poems to dudes, word, that gave to their girls. 2 guys got caught passing the same bars. Yo, I did that too. I used to write for people in class too. Yo. That same thing happened to me, bro. And it's like, yo, cats would come to my locker. It was like, yo, Key, can you write this for me? Yeah, that shit used to happen all the time. And know what's real funny is, I told y'all my first name is Eric. My middle name is Keelan. And then part of the reason I told y'all there was 4 other Erics with my last name in my high school. And that was part of the reason why, I started going by my middle name. But that's not the only reason. So when I was a writer, like, the only people that I would let call me by my middle name at one point in time, like it started junior high and freshman year, was my cousin who loved my name and my grandmother. They were the only people I would let call me by my middle name at one point in time. But the girls, when I would write or when I would draw, I would sign it with my middle name. And they saw my middle name. They was like, ooh, what's your middle name? And I said, Keelan. And they were like, ooh, that is so cute. And the moment I saw the girls love my middle name and they love my art, it was trouble after that joint, yo. Yeah, someone did get an earful after that, Cat Daddy. That was real. But yeah, man. I was supposed to be at the gym today, man. I ain't been in the gym in like 2 days. I ain't done my chest or my leg workout. Slinging poetry, dude. I was slinging poetry like herb, dude. I made some change off of that poetry, fam. And I made some really great connections after that too. Yo, everybody that get on they get in their bag, man. They talk about like how soft it is to be a poet or to be a singer and all that kind of stuff, or to be an artist and all that kind of. I think I put some of my artwork up for y'all. Did I ever do that? Did I ever put that up in the community tab? I don't know if I ever did that or not. But either way, when I tell you, if you want to get some trim, I dabble a little bit. I still dabble a little bit, man. I'll tell y'all the story about that in a sec. But if you want to, when I'm telling you, if you want to get like some real trim, be an artist, bro. Especially in your younger days, man. The fact that I could sing, the fact that I was an MC, I was a poet, I was a dancer, and I could draw. When I tell you, girls would flock over that joint, and a martial artist too, man. Trouble, trouble. Your boy got in some work because of that. But that being said, I don't draw much anymore. I still dabble and doodle. Like when I'm thinking, I might sketch a little bit on my daughter. My daughter's my artist now, my baby girl. She's so talented, man. So I try to draw every now and then, just so like I can teach her how to shade and do and form lines and stuff like that. But I'm just so busy being dad right now, man, and just busy doing other things that I don't really have time to just sit down with a pen and pad. I bought all this acrylic paint, and I bought all my paint brushes and stuff because I had some really like dope ideas and stuff that I wanted to do, and I just haven't had the time to really just let art flow and just let it come out and create. I want to paint so bad right now, man. I got all the stuff that I need, but I feel like I'm not the type of artist that just like I can just sit down and somebody can commission me to do something. I gotta have a feeling. I gotta have a moment, and I gotta be inspired in order for it to come out. Like it's like divine intervention. It just happens on its own. So I haven't had anything to inspire me to just be able to just sit down and just create art. And hopefully I'm gonna get back into it. So once this is said and done, that is the most important job. That's facts, man. So like the stuff that my daughter is doing at 8 years old, man, I'm just impressed by the girl, and she's just really creative. So she's kind of like my muse at this point in time. I'm teaching her the stuff that I was learning when I was her age, drawing comic books and drawing portraits and drawing cars and sneakers, designing sneakers and all that kind of stuff. That was the stuff that I used to do. So I'm gonna put up some of my artwork when this is all said and done. So, do y'all want me to light up this eye of the shark? Or should we been going for an hour and 40 minutes? Should I just let it go? Y'all let me know. Do I let this roll here? Or do I and go to the gym before my kids get out of school? Or do I light up this shark in honor of Brad? What should I do? Y'all let me know. My art dreams got deferred 2 years ago. Golden, tell me, Golden, what happened that your art dreams got deferred? And I'll tell my story about that in a second. If you know, you know. I already know what you're about to say, homeboy. I know your answer. Alejandro said 3 days of training is the sweet spot. 2 days of going heavy with the accessory lifts if you're pressed for time. And that's what I was thinking about doing today, man. I got some weights here at the crib, and I was just gonna, I was gonna do some calisthenics and doing some lightweight with with like my 20 pounds and stuff like that, and just do high reps. So that might be the way to go. So I might just do that, man, and just let's light up. Let's smoke one for Brad, yo. Whatever y'all got, y'all light that up too. Let's get that shark rolling. Let's do that. This Casa Fuente, by the way, is absolutely outstanding. If y'all haven't had one yet, just try to see if you can get your hands on the Casa Fuente, man. This thing was amazing. Hold up. All right, so since we got time today, man, let me tell y'all a quick story, right? You said definitely light it up in honor because people only live or die once. Definitely light it up in memory and honor of Brad. I'm about to light it up as well. Let's light it up, yo. Whatever y'all got, let's light it up. Let's have a little bit of a conversation. Let's talk. So shouts out to Brad. Rest in peace. Peace to your family. Peace to all of your friends. Peace to your legacy, man. You got a lot of people in this cigar community showing you love all across the world right now, bro. I'm in Japan. I know we got, Sanj Patel. I saw they was putting stuff up. Tim was showing some love. All the new wave cats. So, nothing but respect. So as we light this up. So back in the early 2000s, I went by Kalan. That was my stage name. That's funny within itself. I was a spoken word poet, and all over Hampton Roads in Virginia, I was doing poetry all over the place. And that was really my thing. Like, I spent a lot of time doing open mics and being a writer, but I was living with my brother at the time, and things got really rough between me and my brother. So I had to move back from Virginia, Hampton Roads, Virginia, to Virginia Beach, matter of fact, back to North Carolina. And at the time, I had long dreadlocks down on my shoulders. And when I went back to North Carolina, man, I had to cut my locks off in order to get a job. And I was working for the phone company, Sprint, at the time. This is back when they still had landline telephones and cell phones. It was Nextel just merged and all that kind of stuff. So this is around 2004, 2005, something like that. So I was 24, 25 years old. And sorry about that, signal cut out for a second. So at that time, I didn't know if I was going to be able to perform because in North Carolina, there was no open mics. There was no places for me to perform. So what I was going to do is I was going to go back to Virginia once I got myself back on my feet. I was going to live on my own, and I was going to write my own poetry book. And I was going to be a famous poet. So at the time, I was working on this book, and I had a computer that I was working on. I was typing everything up. I wasn't writing by hand anymore. I was typing everything up on the computer. And I wrote this masterpiece. And so I told you guys where I came from in North Carolina, there's a town next to me called Rocky Mount. So a lot of these MC cats that I used to hang out with, they had a studio down in South Rocky Mount. As soon as you go over the bridge in the South Rocky Mount, there was a studio down there. And my computer the night before just got the blue screen of death. And I just so happened to get it rebooted, and I was able to save all of my poetry. I printed it out on the printer, and I put them all in a manila folder. And I just wrote this poem that was my masterpiece, right? So I go and I take this spoken word poem to all these hard rock dudes that, these was heavy weed smokers, drug, moving weight and all that kind of stuff. MCs, hardcore rappers. And I read this poem to all these guys, and they were taking their hats off and they throwing their hats like, yo, that's crazy. Yo, you just did this, that, and the third, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I wore my hat back like this today for Brad, by the way. And so they throwing their hats around. Everybody's like, yo, this is the best poem I ever had. Yo, you gonna kill with this. It's whoop-de-whoop. Everybody going nuts, right? And that poem, I left it there. My eye to shark ain't really drawing very well today, fellas. But I left that poem there. And that night when I went back home, I was like, yo, I forgot my poems. Yo, I don't have my notebook. I don't have my manila folder. And I went back the next day. The police had raided the joint. They turned the whole studio upside down. There was monitors on the floor. The Akai beat machine was on the floor. There was papers everywhere. The refrigerator was turned over. The police tore that whole place up. And it was just notebooks, and it was paper everywhere, and it was the couches was all turned up, and everything. They ransacked the whole studio, everything. And I never got my notebook back. That manila folder that had everything I had written from probably like 2001 until that last piece that I wrote. And I never got it back. I searched that whole place. I never found my manila folder. And honestly, I think one of the dudes that liked my poetry, I think he might have scooped it up. I can't say for sure if that's the case. But I was so heartbroken at the time, I never wrote again. Now, saying that to say not to be hyperbolic, I've written some like random pieces, just kind of like key style, but I've never written a full poem ever again. I've never performed on stage other than just doing freestyles because for my friends just asking me like, yo, get on the mic one time for us, because you haven't done it in so long. And I didn't write anything down. I did everything off the top of my head, but I never wrote another piece. And to this day, 20 years later, I still can't write. I've had permanent writer's block. I can't even tell you one line from that masterpiece that I wrote because that was the first night that I ever read it out loud to anybody. I wrote it the night before and I performed it for those homies that night and I never memorized it. I have trouble memorizing anything. That's a whole nother story, but I never got to memorize that piece. That being said, that's how my dreams got deferred as far as being a poet. So Golden said, my family, bro, is crazy. I worked 10 years to save up money for my equipment and studying the artwork of wood carving. That's dope. You got to let me see some of your wood carving stuff too. My family didn't believe in me. Long story short, they destroyed my opportunity. That hurts, brother. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that's heavy. And as an artist myself, I can totally understand, especially when you're a craftsman and you put that much time and effort. Like, I wish you could feel that that's the same drop that I got earlier today when I heard about Brad. I just had that same drop in my chest that I know that feeling of a dream being deferred like that. I know exactly how that feels, man. And I can't tell you to go back and try to pick that up again because it's so hard for me. Like 20 years later, I still can't write poetry the way I used to. And I felt like that was my dream to become like this MC and this poet and to make music and to make poetry. And just, it never came again. So I totally feel you and understand. I'm going to try to cut this again, man. My draw is super tight on this thing. I've never had an eye of the shark draw like this before. That's better. Golden said, wow, that's kind of what happened to me. I lost my equipment and my art is in storage. I'm now working on the road, truck driving. Hey, man, at least you got a career that you're rolling with, man. I need a studio to create my art. And dog, part of that whole thing, man, is about being able to build up what you need to be yourself again. That's why before I moved here, man, I went back and I bought all my art supplies again because I want to paint again. I want to create again. Part of the reason why I did the vintage cigars because I wanted to be able to create again. I wanted to be able to connect music and connect poetry and connect, all the stuff that I love and put it together and make this channel. It's the same thing where I was telling you guys the other day that I was scared to actually get all my other stuff off the ground and to make stuff happen, with 80s Remote and doing my review channel. It's hard to put myself because now it's so you're caught up in your everyday life being an adult. You don't have the same freedom. You don't have the same energy you had as a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever. You got to be able to get in your space to be able to work. But what me and you and any other artist or, whomever, whatever your talent is, you got to be able to make that dream come true. You got to work on it. And it's the same thing saying, with, smoking your best cigars, tomorrow's not promised. We may never be able to be a craftsman or artist the way we were before, but we gotta create. That's what it means to be human, is to create. You feel me? So whatever we got to do, we got to get back to doing what we love and what we're, what makes us human and what makes us us. And just speaking from an artist and a creator's perspective, we're nothing without our mind being able to work and to produce something. When I was a butcher, like being able to fabricate meat and to make something that put food on people's tables, that was everything to me. That was my extension of me being an artist. I felt like I would tell, all of the people that I was training and my bosses, like, this is art for me. This is not a job. You know what I'm saying? So, like, all the best to you, man. I know you're working hard in your career, but if you ever get to create anything, whatever it may be, I hope it, you can do it to the best of your ability with all your passion, and I hope it comes alive in you again. In all honesty, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, bro. He said, "Yeah, that's where I am. It's literally killing me. I feel you." I had a stent surgery last year in my chest. I think I'm heartbroken too, bro. Man, listen, I could go on a whole philosophical thing about that feeling. Like when there's a level of heartbreak in there. And I used to get so sad and depressed at the time that I could literally feel the pain in my chest from that. Take care of yourself, man. Eat healthy and be healthy, as far as not just like on a day-to-day basis or working out. Be healthy here too. Be healthy in the sense that we gotta actually make things and create. When I was making the merch and I'm doing the thumbnails for the vintage cigar, part of that was a part of my creative process. Part of that was healing for me, to be able to say that, yo, I can create this. So when you guys are like on a community tab and you're asking me about the merch and where is the merch, is it coming? And people were saying, yo, that hat, I want the hat, or I want the shirt that you designed, like, I would buy that. I don't care about the money side to it, man. Just the fact that people, like my design enough that it means something to y'all, and y'all like the design of the logo, and you guys care about the channel and all the stuff that I created. Y'all don't know how much that means to me, man. As an artist, that means everything to me, man. I would spend hours just working on my thumbnail, and I don't even know if the algorithm, for YouTube, if it ever mattered. I don't even know if it worked. I don't know if I ever did the right thing, but the fact that I was creating something that meant something to me, that connected to the cigar that I was reviewing, that created to whatever bit of pop culture that I was using at that moment, and getting that message out to you, it obviously brought at least some of you in to be able to sit down and kick it with me and smoke a cigar and to talk about culture and to talk about the cigar community and to talk about cigars. I did something right, and I'm grateful to y'all. And I'm grateful that y'all even took the time to come check me out and to watch me, talk about flavor notes for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. Or to come through and watch me talk about my friends that passed away, or, my personal life or whatever. Like, y'all don't understand, like, that, like, I value y'all because of that. And it's nothing more important to, a Pablo Picasso, a Jean-Michel Basquiat, a Klimt, a Kanye West, a Pharrell, a Ralph Lauren, whomever. All these people who are creating, and when people appreciate their art before they're dead and buried in the ground, that's everything, bro. That's everything to an artist. So thank y'all, man. Thank y'all. Like, and I appreciate y'all. And I want to be a part of everything that y'all are creating. I want y'all to send me whatever your artwork is, or if you're a plumber, if you're a truck driver, if you work on cars, send me stuff that you work on. Like, I love shit like that. I love the art of creating and innovating and building and sculpting or whatever you do. I love it. So send that my way, man. Let's talk about it. Let me see what the stuff that y'all are doing. Intercar said, I'm so blessed. My parents were behind my drumming 1000%. My homeboy that I was with today is a drummer too. My father-in-law is a drummer. Started playing at 8 years old. That's major. And at 54, I'm still rocking the drums. What kind of drums do you play, man? Like, are you into like Clyde Stubblefield? Like, who are your inspirations? Like, like what type of music do you do? Is it jazz? Is it rock? Is it what? Tell me what you do, man. I'm here for that. That's major. Said I needed this motivation, bro. Thank you. Wow, my dad and grandpa was butchers, man. Like, look, the same way that I love drawing, the same way that I love music, man. The same way that I love to create and words and all that kind of stuff. Butchery was an art form, man. I would love, man, if I could just sit back and chop it up with your dad and grandpa, if they still around and they still cutting and doing the whole. I would love to hear their experiences of whatever you got from it, man. No, thank you, man. That's like literally that's what this leaf is about. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's what we were about in this community, man. That's the best thing about being able to sit back and smoke these cigars and do these lives and have these reviews and these herfs and stuff. Is like we come together and we get to share each other's worlds, man. We get to share each other's experiences and how we relate to each other. Like this is it. And to have a like the whole start of this whole episode was grieving the loss of another human being, the loss of another brother of the leaf, man. And for us to be able to just sit back and to chop it up. Look at this, man. Like I'm repping my homie, Master Your Ash. Like this is what this whole thing is about, man. Like this is why we get together and we smoke great cigars and we chop it up and we talk. This is y'all ever like I don't know if y'all ever like been to I don't know if y'all ever been to funerals when they start off super sad, but by the end of the funeral, people are eating together and they're dancing and they're dapping each other up and they're hugging and they're sharing old stories and all that kind of stuff and taking something that's so miserable and so sad and it becomes something beautiful at the end of the day. That's what this is. That's what y'all are to me, man. And y'all can say that, that I'm soft or whatever, but I can't let this go because I love the fact that y'all would sit there and kick it with me and spend 2 hours or 3 hours for I've done some long ass lives, man. And the fact that y'all sit down and share your experiences and y'all listen to me just, go on and get animated or be reserved or whatever the case may be. This is my happy spot. And I don't think it's ever gonna stop. With all the stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, the vintage cigar and these lives, smoke your best cigars. None of this stuff is gonna stop because y'all keep me going. Y'all keep me motivated. And, y'all keeping me on my P's and Q's to get this merch out and to do Patreon the right way and to get 80s remote going and to stay in with while I'm in Japan and going out here and practicing Japanese. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to hear about y'all being drummers and what it's like being a truck driver, like all that kind of stuff, man. Like it don't get no better than that. We're using this technology. We're using these screens and this live shares and all this kind of stuff. We're using Instagram and social media in order to develop bonds and make friends and to keep us motivated. It's inspiring like a motherfucker. That's another homie right there. Yo, need that hat. I got a couple myself. I got one more that I haven't worn. So if it comes to it, I can send you that. But I'm pretty sure Michael got a ton of them, man. And I know you talking about the vintage hat. So I got you. It's coming. It's coming, brother. But the thing is with that hat, I wanted it to be done the right way. I wanted to actually have it embroidered the same way that Michael's is embroidered right now. And I also wanted to have it be not like a fitted like this. I wanted to have a snapback. So I'm hoping that those hats are gonna come out the way that I want them to. I didn't want to release those hats in a way that it didn't feel right to me and the vintage cigar. Fred, what up? Hey, my homies up in here. What up? That is a good looking hat, man. I like this hat, man. Some real cool cat gave me this hat, man. He sent it to me in a cigar bomb. Michael, what up, homie? What you got smoke on today, man? I know it's been a tough day for a lot of us in the cigar community, man. It's been a tough night, and I know it's nighttime and it's getting late for y'all where y'all at right now. But what did y'all smoke on today, man? Did y'all smoke anything, just for yourselves? Did you pull some out of the humidor to show love to Bradley? Did you pull something out of the humidor just for yourself? Let me know what y'all had, man. And thank y'all for. I hate to do this on this one, but thanks for hitting that that like button. Thanks for spending time with the kid, man. I appreciate y'all. So he said the hat is for sure clean as hell. I'm trying to live up to what Michael was doing with this hat, man, and I'm trying to when I put out my merch. Like, here's the thing. I was just talking with Matt about this too. When if I do this through whether it be Teespring or whether it be through another site or whatever the case may be, I'll tell you, he had a Don Carlos #2 that's fire. My man Golden said he had the Oliva. When I was talking to Matt about getting this merch out, a lot of the proceeds and the money is going to go to these companies by helping us get our merch out, and we're not going to get a lot of the profits back. So if y'all are going to be willing to spend your money to this company for me and to buy my merch, I want it to be dope shit. I don't just want to send out some garbage or some bullshit. The shirts don't fit right, the hat don't look right, and you be like, "Yo, Keelan, what the hell is this bullshit that you got me spending $20 or whatever the cost is going to be for that shit? I don't want no garbage." You know what I'm saying? But to reiterate, Cigar Head Fred, man, I know you know of Bradley from Zeal Cigars and from TNT. He passed away from a motorcycle accident, man, and I think was it I the time frame is hard for me. I know it was in the morning, but he just recently passed away from a tragic accident. So the whole cigar community, man, is feeling some type of way losing one of our soldiers. So I just wanted to pay homage to him and to talk about some things that were on the brain. I know it's 1:30 where you are, Peter. Take it easy, homie. But I just kind of wanted to talk about just a retrospective of life. I didn't know the man very well. I didn't know him at all, honestly. But I just knew him from doing his channel. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, a conversation that I had with my daughter about life and death. I wanted to talk about some of my homies that passed away in motorcycle accidents. And I wanted just to pay respects to that man and his family by smoking one of my best. So, I got the eye of the shark today. The draw is tight as hell on this cigar, man. I'm not getting anything out of this bitch, which is disappointing. That's never happened to me with the eye of the shark. I've never had this where I can't get a draw. There we go. It happens sometimes, though. So yeah, man, yeah, Fred, it's real heavy, man. And that's just it's just tough news to take in that any man, whether he's 20 or whether he's 50 years old or whether he's 101, to lose a life and for us to lose, a star in the sky, man. It's just it's painful. It's painful. So yeah, that's what this whole thing was about. Yasir said he had a Lagalora Cubana Serie R Maduro. Nice. Right now, he has the Oliva Serie V Melanio. Great choice, by the way. Maduro. Earlier today, plus my yardsticks. Cibao by the Yochi, all right? And let's see, the Tabacalera Palma and Nicaragua Streakers. Boy, you've been going to work today. I think by AJ Fernandez. You weren't playing around today, man. But that's what we got to do, man. If we got time to sit back and smoke a good cigar, you had a nice variety there. I see you leaning into the Maduros, though. I see you leaning in. We got to be able to sit, kind of take a moment and appreciate ourselves, man. We got to appreciate the tobacco and just kind of enjoy the moment. I'm hungry as a bitch right now. I know that's a random thought, but just while I was thinking of it and talking to y'all, I ate a light breakfast this morning because the goal was to go to the gym. I had my protein pancakes and some bananas with some sugar-free syrup, and I got a breakfast sandwich when I was sitting with my homie drinking tea today. So my plan was to go to the gym and get a good workout in, and then come back and then make another protein meal to kind of keep myself on track, stay within my macros and all that kind of stuff. And then when I heard about Brad, man, I stopped to say, let me come back and sit with the homies, smoke a cigar, and celebrate this man's life, and to talk about some serious things. And I hadn't stopped to eat. I took a protein bar with me into the car, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that until I actually get my workout in. There's no workout, so my body is screaming for some food right now. It's screaming for food. I'm probably burning hella calories just talking and running my mouth right now and being hella animated. But the way I feel right now, it's like minuscule, man. I was thinking about that kid JB that I was telling y'all about, and that was Bradley's partner on his channel, and listening to him, just kind of break the news to everybody on Instagram about Brad's passing. It took a lot of energy to get up there, man, and to express your feelings to the world like that. And I empathize with him, and honestly, I sympathize with him. So when I think about like the way that I'm feeling right now and the stuff that's on my mind, it's like I know it doesn't nearly compare to JB and Bradley's family. And man, when you think about all the stuff that goes into someone passing away like that, you got whatever their will is, you got their last rites, you got the family trying to put together the funeral arrangements, and then you got people who got to call other family members and break it to other family members that somebody they love and care about and they cherish is passed on, and you all got to do that while you're grieving at the same time, and then you still got work to deal with, you still got kids to raise. Fuck, man, that's some heavy ass stuff, man. That's some heavy stuff. So taking the time to really sit back with these cigars and to spend time with people and to emote and to get stuff off your chest is major. It takes time. In a car set, I'm a metal drummer, but I've played blues, jazz, symphony, marching band, worship music. These days I play at my church. I show up early and I crush the drums. Just me, drums, and God. That's a beautiful thing. I got a homeboy back in North Carolina, man. His brother's a guitarist and he's a drummer. And I get so excited to see these, because I've known these cats since I was in elementary school, man. And to see these dudes still playing together, and like you, they play for their church now. And to be able to, however you look at your spirituality, however you look at your God, or however you look at creation, and to be able to express yourself that way. And Bruce Lee said, life is, honestly expressing oneself. And to be able to express yourself through music and through the drums like that, man, it's a cool thing. I got to show you my drum set. I got to put it together. My father-in-law brought my kids a drum set, and I've been trying to, teach my daughter, a little bit. But I'm not gifted with instruments at all. But we have that in the house. And, it would be cool to have a little black girl to grow up to play drums, man, to be able to play everything like you play. That's some cool stuff, man. That's it's really dope. I'm glad you're still rocking out, man, and hitting the drums. Said he's burning a diesel sherry cask. Does that have like sherry notes from like sherry wine in it, or is that just a name? Let me know, because I don't know a lot about diesel. I don't really smoke diesel like that, but I'm very curious about that cigar. Yosir said, by the way, I wanted to let you know you're an inspiration, bro, and being through everything you have and still standing up in life and standing on biz like a man. You took responsibility to unfold and move halfway and move halfway across the world. Part of me moving, across the world, man. Thank you for those words in general, man. You are an inspiration to me, and I mean that. and thank you for taking the time to share kind words like that. But you know, you guys kind of like touched the tip of the iceberg, and there are people who have been through a lot more tragedies than I have. I've seen some things in 43 years, but I don't think it's ever a moment where we can fall and fold like that. When you got kids to raise, when you got friends, when you got a mother to look after, when you got, you know, family and you got people to support, and you know you got things to do. Part of me moving across the world is so my kids could see stuff that I never got to see as a kid. You know, when I was telling y'all earlier that my mom didn't have enough to travel, you know, so we never, like, I didn't get on a plane until I was 22 years old to go meet my wife, and that was right after 9/11. I was terrified to get on a plane. I had never been on a plane before. I was having dreams about planes crashing. And when I was a kid, I used to watch Ricky Valens, the Ricky Valens story. I was terrified of planes, bro. But and then after, you know, when 9/11 hit, that's a whole nother thing to get into. But I never got that chance. So when I was younger, I took my daughter my oldest daughter on the plane for the first time when she was 10. And we flew across to California. And then with my son and my baby girl, I flew them over here, and we got a chance so they could live and pick up a new culture in Japan, because I didn't leave the United States until I got married. I was 28 years old, and that was the first time that I ever left American soil. You feel me? So all of this being here in Japan is a way for me to kind of give back to my kids and to keep going and striving to be a better human being. I had Japanese class today, first thing in the morning, and you know, trying to pick up the language and trying to do that so I can communicate with my neighbors, and who knows where that will take me in this world, and what kind of stories I can learn and kind of experience I can get. It's just, we as human beings, until that second comes or that inch is done, we got to live it to the fullest. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to live it to the fullest, and I'm trying to experience that with y'all. That's what, like, what I'm saying. Like, I try to share stuff with my community tab and try to, you know, get experiences from y'all too, because I'm living vicariously through you. You guys are living and seeing things that I never got a chance to see. Having homies like Michael, having homies like Matt and John, you know, I get to live vicariously through them. I get to see, you know, parts of Vegas. I get to see parts of Texas. I get to see parts of California that I didn't experience. And you guys are, you know, usually here from Michigan. You know, there'll be people from, you know, from Jersey. You know, it's like you guys come from all over the world just to hang out with me in Japan, and it means a lot. He said it takes so much fortitude and motivation. Most people will never possess the characteristics and quality it takes a lot. You're a very versatile individual, very resourceful, able to persevere through adversity. And I do that by connecting with other people, man. So I can't be that without being connected to y'all. I played the trumpet in high school. Dude, I'm so jealous. I wanted to play the trumpet. I love Miles Davis. I played the trumpet in high school. Wish I would have never put it down. I wish I had picked it up. And I almost picked up the saxophone. I hate the saxophone now. I want to say I hate it, but I love the trumpet, and I love Miles. I love Dizzy Gillespie, man. And the trumpet, like when I'm in a mood, sometimes I go back and I put on Kind of Blue, or I put on Birth of a Cool, Milestones. Um, what is the Spain joint? That Spain album is crazy. I can't think of the name of it, but I sit back and I listen to a lot of Miles, man, because I just love the sound of the trumpet, and it really picks my mood up, man. It ain't too late to pick that trumpet up right now, Jack. Even if you just do it for your own personal development and your own personal growth and your own mood and your own mental health, do it. It got sherry notes like smoking candy. So fucking good. Sal said there's a pretty cool correlation between cigar makers and playing music. I agree with that. Pete Johnson, Carlito, John Huber, and EPC Carrillo played in a band. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, Sal. Like, one of my favorite cigars by John Huber, I don't know who actually did the blending on it, but it was the one that they did. Was it La Ciudad that they did with Monte Cristo? Beautiful cigar. And you know, EP Carrillo is always doing like short runs, and he's always doing stuff that is connected with music. I love to see Avo Cigars. They, you know, they have their whole symphony line and all that kind of stuff. I love to see how these cats correlate music, and you know, into their cigars and their expression, and they still got their love for music and all that, and they never let it die. That's really like I caught wind of that too, man, and I'm super impressed by that. And you guys know from watching my reviews and all that kind of stuff that I'm always trying to put in the music that I love into the channel and put the music into the background and put it in there as Easter eggs for people to catch on to, be it jazz, be it hip hop, be it rock, whatever, because we have moved based on these vibrations, man. And there's nothing better than being able to sit back and put on some Bob Marley or to put on, you know, Amy Winehouse or, you know, Sade and just kick back and smoke your favorite cigars. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a vibe. You know, so like I appreciate all of y'all musicians in here, man, and y'all showing me love and the people that would catch on to those different music notes. We on the same page. I'm with you. He said, where? Can't be in the U.S. No, Benny, I am located in currently in Sasebo, Japan. I've been in Japan for the past 4 years. I lived in the Kanto region, not far away from Tokyo, and now I'm much further south in the Kyushu region. So my kids are on the way, man. So sorry about that. I might have to cut this short in just a minute. Let me get through these last few comments, and then let me check in with my kids. So give me a sec. So you still said I'm a few years older than you. I definitely remember watching Lou Diamond Phillips as a kid, Richie Valens and La Bamba. Yo, that was my movie, bro. Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. That, man, that's a sad accident too, man. It's based on everything that we was talking about. Scared the shit out of me as well, where I didn't fly for 4 years. And I feel you. And Miles is absolutely the GOAT. So yeah, I got that similar experience, man. I used to love that La Bamba movie, man. And I'm going to talk about that on my new channel whenever I get it rolling, because it's an 80s movie, and it's a movie that has, you know, near and dear to my heart. That, man, that whole story, just thinking about the relationship he had with his brother. And what's my man, the actor, Esteban, that played his brother, is a phenomenal actor. He was in Ozarks recently. He's brilliant. So yeah, that's some major connection to that. Fred said, I'm a guitar guy, bruh. I'm a huge B.B. King fan. I love B.B. King too. B.B. King and Bobby Boogland. Bobby was my man too. Album, if you get a chance, man, check out the guitarist that played for Bob Marley. I think his name was Junior. I always get him mixed up with Junior Marvin or Junior Mervin. I think it's Junior Mervin. One of my favorite guitarists is out there if you get a chance. I play behind it with my acoustic guitar. Dude, I didn't know you could play guitar, man. I had no idea, Fred, that you were a guitarist, man. That's dope. That's what's up. Bob Marley's grandson dropped a song, bruh, called Praise Jah in the Moonlight. Said Bob Marley's grandson. Was that Skip? Was that Skip Marley? I think that's Skip Marley's joint. Or was that Josiah? I think it was Skip. Skip got some really good music. Skip might be my favorite of the grandkids that makes music. I'm a Bob Marley fan, man, so I listen to everything from Bob to the kids. And I think Stephen Marley might be my favorite. Hey, yo, I gotta go. My son keeps calling me, so it must be an emergency, yo. So look, thank y'all for taking the time. Thank y'all for spending time with me, showing love to Bradley and his family. Continue to smoke your best cigars. I'm gonna get up with you guys, and y'all stay easy. All right? Peace.